Hi there, how's it? In the name of Christ, it's your girl Cranky. I hope you're good, I hope you're peachy, I hope you're stellar, and I hope you're in a neat little bunch. Whatever. It is the 28th of November 2023. It's a Tuesday. I'm rocking this massive wig because I'm doing a treatment on my hair. I do that once a week, so because my hairstyle is a high hairstyle underneath, I needed something to cover all of it. I don't want to just wear a dug. So just in case you're wondering what's going on over there, that's what's going on. 1 minute-ish. That's like it. What did I just do? Let me just leave this alone as it is. Yeah, alrighty. Let me put some caveats out there. What do I want to say? Yes, my captions are not always accurate. Please look out for that. I'm not going to take them out. I like them. They're also sometimes irreverent and they use a small g for God, or they use words I would never use. So it's just there. It is what it is and it's going to stay until further notice. Every time I switch off the fan in this place, it's just so insufferable. My goodness. But I don't want to leave the fan on because then it messes with, you know, the sound over here. What else? I'm wearing makeup, application makeup, just in case you're wondering. So if it bounces up and down, understand that it's just makeup. That's what's good. It's an app. Alright, my silence detector is okay, and I no longer have a speech lag because I have found a new camera, so amen. I'm feeling really out of it, but you know, we'll push. There's just so much demonic attack, demonic abuse, and for the life of me, I don't even know what to do anymore. I had a creepy dream last night and I don't even really know what's going on over there, but let me just share it anyway. So it's 1826. It's 1826. Sorry. It is 1826, not the year. Yeah, what's the point of making that joke? At the time, it's 1826, and today was cooler than other days because it was raining last night, and the clouds are still in the sky, but it's still so hot in here. But anyway, it is what it is. I wish, oh goodness, like I need a fan. Today I used this. Whoa, it works surprisingly well, but it's so heavy. It's so heavy. Anyway, we'll just keep my my keyboard. Yo, you know what? I miss her. Anyway, that dream that I had is really prophetic, so I'll just go on right ahead and share it. And I don't even know what under heaven it means, but perhaps as we continue to speak, the explanation will become clearer and clearer. Let me just get straight into it. I don't usually get straight into my dreams, but this time I will. So I was walking in a mall. You guys. And as I was dallying in this mall, there were employees at the Dischem, right? What mall it was just a mall. It wasn't any mall I've been to in waking life, neither recognize. But there were employees at the Dischem, and these employees at the Dischem were watching me walk in the mall, okay? And what they did, right, so, okay, like, yo, yes, like it. I didn't even want to talk about it because I don't even know what in the world it means, but I think we're gonna figure it out together, okay? Here it is that I'm walking, dilly-dallying, prancing in a mall, and there are these employees at a Dischem in this mall, alright? They were lowly in constitution, in the sense that they were on the low end in terms of income. They were not wealthy people. They were the kinds of people in my country, that is South Africa, that are generally underestimated by the working class because they're at the very bottom of the working class, and that they're earning the lowest salaries, lowest monies, and so everybody kind of like looks down on them. And these employees at the Dischem, note Dischem, hello, I'm from South Africa. Dischem is a chemist. It's a pharmaceutical company otherwise in American terms known as a drugstore. It's a chemist, okay? Don't know what else to say there. You know what I mean? Goodness. So Dischem is a chemist. That's what the chem stands for. Are we done here? Oh, guys, I'm doing edits all at the same time. Please, I gotta multitask because my life is hard. Somebody was here doing electricity things and I was just like, whoa. And then the power went off, disturbing my peace because he was working, and then I had to start from scratch and I was like, oh. So now I'm double tasking. I think the right word is multitasking. Sorry, my brain is scattered. Christ forbid should it remain scattered. My desire is that it should be restored to whatever under heaven it is that brains do when they get recovered. I need walnuts. Anyway, I don't have walnuts, but I had peanut butter and jam for breakfast, so that should help. Anyway, whatever. It was more like lunch, but whatever. I'm struggling to multitask, as you can see, and there is a whole slow thing going on here. And I don't have time for slow because I'm fast at thinking. Even when I'm under a lot of spiritual attack, I'm always on my feet. Amen. You know? Anyway, whatever. So it looks like CapCut keeps on bulking and innovating new, fresh, beautiful caption like designs, and I'm feeling that because now I get to make everything it's so hot. Now I get to make everything even cooler. Who doesn't like that? Who come on, just be honest. You like what I do with the captions. Anyway, so the color of choice for last week, for yesterday's work is oh god, give me my brain back. It's yellow, like the sun. Is the sun yellow? It is. Orange? From down here it's yellow. Anyway, so, ooh, what just happened there, guys? I'm so distracted. Life shouldn't be this hard, but mine is. Not for long. I'm even struggling to laugh because everything is coming out with difficulty. It's like I'm choking and I'm still trying to keep my swagger while choking. Oh, dangerous combo that. Anyway, y'all, so Dischem. How long have I been talking here? This new recorder only records for 10 minutes at a go, so whenever I get to the 9-minute mark, I become anxious, I start to shake, I get the freaks, and I start to feel like I'm gonna bubble up into an amorphous creature. We don't like that. So let's just wait for this thing to get to like 10 minutes and then I can focus on this thing. And by the time I come back, I'm all yours. Yo, what's up? I said I would be all yours, but this thing is just, you know that rainbow colored make me wait wheel from Apple? It's doing that and I don't have time for it because my computer is slow and we don't like it. But it's the only one we have. Anyway, whatever, y'all, guys. I'm busy telling a dream here, but I'm distracted. Oh, this is so slow. Whoa. You know this guy, this electrician guy, he did me dirty. I was in the middle of exporting my my speech. Oh goodness, I'm so lost now in the brain. He was like slap bang in the middle of exporting my silence detected video, and then boom, he decides to go and just like slap me with a power cut. Like, whoa, you know? I guess I should be grateful that we've got solar panels. This is South Africa after all, so stop complaining. Anyway, I'm gonna leave this be for a moment and go back to talking about the dream. Ultimately, I'm gonna look back there again, but for now it's doing whatever. Guys, I was in a mall in this dream and I was hopping, dilly-dallying in it, alright? And there were these employees at a Dischem. And like I mentioned, Dischem is a chemist, a drugstore, a pharmaceuticals company. Yeah, the place you go to after the doctor prescribes meds to you. And then you go there and they give you your meds if you have a script. A script of which is a prescription script. Okay, right. Okay, so this thing is finally done doing what? Oh no!
How in the world does a 31-year-old beautiful woman like that?
Oh no! okay? Doesn't your own voice make you cringe when you listen to it, you guys? Oh man. Yeah, but we gotta do edits. A girl's gotta do edits. She's gotta do edits. She's gotta do edits. And edits have it such that you gotta listen to yourself. Sometimes I cringe, sometimes I don't. I cringe particularly, like, hectically when I am singing. That's when I really hate my voice, but, you know, nobody's gonna make me stop singing, even though I hate my singing voice. Okay, yeah, no, I'm gonna talk about this dream while we do this thing, because it does not take so much brain power. Unlike what I do in terms of my edits on CapCut, I'm just, like, double-checking my silences on the silence detector to make sure they haven't taken out my words. Anyway, yeah, so I'm like hopping, okay, in the mall, and then I see these like Dis-Chem employees, alright? These Dis-Chem employees being lowly and everything, look at me and they start to like brim with excitement, you know, like little children that have been home the whole day, and then like when they hear the heel, the guai, go, 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 when they hear the stiletto of the mother, man, they start to brim with excitement because they know that my mother's home, and then they like wait either with bated breath or they run outside to meet the mother, right? Yeah, well, when I waltzed, what is the past participle of the word waltz, you guys? Somebody tell me please, I need to know, my brain, I need walnuts. Anyway, whatever, they waltzed it. We shall just add an ED at the end. I think that's safe. When I waltzed it into this mall, these Dis-Chem employees like saw me. They spotted me from the Dis-Chem where they were working. Okay? And then they got all excited. They were so happy that I was in the mall. And they knew that I was going to the shoe store. They knew that I was going to a shoe store by the name of Preview. Look, I don't know if Preview is still a thing, okay? But if it is, then you know what I'm talking about. If it's not anymore, fine, I'll explain, okay? So, Miss South Africa in this nation of... Oh, I don't like this country. I don't know how many times I have to say it, but anyway, whatever, I'm here, so... It is what it is. Miss South Africa, back in the day, maybe still presently, if Preview was still a thing, I'm not sure. Preview is a high-end shoe store. In other words, it sells some pretty expensive ladies' shoes. Designer shoes, yeah. It's along the lines, it's got a similar sort of kind of makeup to like Europa art or Socrati, and you would know what I'm talking about if you're South African. If you're not, oh goodness, like whoa, give me a break. Why do I have to just keep like, you know, aligning to world standards what I'm talking about? It's not quite at the height of Christian Louboutin, but it is. Okay, thank you, got it. You know, America, you and the culture you export across the world, and then you treat the world like trash, like whatever, dive in a dustbin, okay? Anyway, so remember Sex and the City back in the day? Sarah Jessica Parker, or Carrie, and her girls, especially Carrie, used to love these shoes called Manolo Blahniks. Manolo Blahniks. I don't know if Manolo Blahniks are still a thing. Yeah, but a Preview was like the store that would sell Manolo Blahniks. Thank you. It's a high-end shoe store. I don't know if it's only South African or what, and I don't even know if it's still a thing today, but it was back then, and that's what God uses in this unfortunate mind of mine, given that I've been extracted out of society. So I don't know when stores closed down. Ever since what's this random Bob thing? Ever since coronavirus smacked everybody upside the head and they had to be lockdowns, a lot of the brands that used to exist in the land are just no more. So I don't know if Preview is still a thing. But Preview used to sell some pretty expensive high-end shoes for women in particular. I don't believe they sold men's shoes. And it's at the height or level of Manolo Blahniks, ever so slightly lower than Jimmy Choo's, but also high-end. Yeah. So now you know what I mean when I'm talking about Socrati or Europa. It's like a Manolo Blahnik shoe store. Okay, yeah, now that you've gotten that in your mind, let's move on. Alright, here it is that I was like walking in, and then I went to a shoe store that was Preview in particular. It was Preview, okay? That shoe store was Preview. Why preview? Like I said, we're gonna interpret this dream together, because it just slapped me upside the head, and I was like, oops. So, oops, upside the head. Oops, upside the head.
Silence.
We're gonna interpret this together. In South Africa, back in the day, might still be a thing today if preview is still a thing. Okay, I don't know, because you know COVID-19. Yeah, Miss South Africa, I.E, the beauty queen, the pageant lady. Yeah, if she won when she wins, yeah, one of the prizes that she got back in the day was shoes from Preview. Shoes from Preview, okay? For a year, like a year's supply of shoes from Preview at her leisure. She could just walk in and take the whole store for an entire year of her reign. For the entire year of her reign, she was basically the tantamount of being blessed with Manolo Blahniks, as many of them as she wanted, for a whole year. I would have totally just taken the store. Anyway, whatever. Alright. So Miss South Africa back in the day used to get Preview shoes for a whole year. Okay? Yeah, I walked to Preview in this mall where the Discam staff members who saw me were like, oh my, Mom remembered Melrose. Okay, they didn't sing that. Right now I'm kind of discombobulated, guys. Never mind that. I'm really suffering in my bones. And I'm trying to not have that suffering come through. I'm trying to not have it pull out like hairs on a head, you know what I mean? Okay, finally we're done with edits. We are not anymore, I promise, going to be looking, at least for the duration of this video, at anything other than you over there. Just out of being kind, or whatever even that means in 2023. Everybody's just butch and mean. Okay, how much time do I have left? Oh goodness, like 15 seconds, this thing. Y'all know, preview, you guys. Okay, we're just gonna like start from minute 10. Minute 0. Lord, why do I feel like this? Okay, now I'm gonna talk being serious, okay? No more joking. Okay, was I even joking? Was anyone laughing? Anyway, whatever. Righto, so I'm out here walking in the mall, dilly-dallying, waltzing in there. And as I was waltzing in, the staff members from what do you call this, joined, from Discam, were like, oh, she's here, she's here, she's here. And she's definitely going to Preview. She's definitely going to Preview. And I had a comprehension that these employees at the Discam owned the Preview. And their Preview, their little shoe store, that's in real waking life in South Africa, a high-end shoe store, yeah, was barely perused. It was barely perused. Barely anybody went in there. It had like a whole slot in the mall, but nobody was going in there. And it was night time perpetually at the Preview. Even though when I was walking inside the mall, it was during the day. And these staff members who owned the Preview, when they saw me walking in, they got very excited because they understood that I was going to their shop that no one frequents. I was going to their shoe store that nobody frequents, nobody likes it, okay? And they had known me in the past. The reason they got excited is because they recognized me due to the fact that I was a regular at the store. I was always popping in there and buying loads of shoes. I was a regular, so every time I waltzed it into the mall, the Discam staff got excited because they knew that I was going straight to Preview to buy a whole bunch of shoes. They looked at me and understood me as hella wealthy. Like violence of wealth. Like I was coining it. I was that chick. I was a moneyed lady. Yeah, I'm broke, guys. My life is so every day because I'm poor. Can't afford anything. But in that dream I was Muhumi. Guys, one. And the individuals at the Discam comprehended me as Muhumi. A Muhumi is a wealthy human. Yeah, guys. Nikili Muhumi, according to the people at Discam. And when I walked in to the Discam, they knew exactly where I was going because there was nowhere else I was inclined to go whenever I was in the mall other than Preview. And when they saw me, they saw a really rich lady and I was a regular, and so they were excited that their barely perused shoe store was going to get sales for the day. A shoe store that would sometimes go days weeks on end without anybody buying anything, and it was facing essentially closure or something. Yeah, and so when I walked in, I was like a saving day type thing, and they got all excited on some, she's here, Gara was here, Gara was here, Gara was here, Gara was here, and she's gonna spend some money today. She's gonna spend lots of money just buying some shoes. That's what's good. And when I walked in, I could overhear them getting all excited, and they would give me, right, like queenly treatment whenever I was in the store, right from Discam where they were at. Like, it's weird like that with dreams. Like, I walked into the preview and there was like a cranberry tea waiting for me. It's like they prepared it in Discam and then it just kind of teleportively landed inside preview. They stayed in the Discam, but they gave me queenly service as a customer inside preview. And I told you guys that the preview, where it is that the store was at, it was nighttime. It was also dark and dingy in the sense that there were no lights, and the lights did not even come on inside the store when I was there. It was always switched off, and it was also in a conspicuous part of the mall that is generally ignorable. And no, like, yeah, it was like walking into a ghost town. Very well, I walk into the preview, I get top-notch service from the owners of the preview, who are also employees at the Discam. Alright, and then there are like these shoe boxes that are all over the show in the preview. And the shoe boxes were dusty, right? They were white in color and they were dusty on the outside, however housing some pretty excellent shoes. Like, you guys would know what shoes from preview I like. The shoes were gorgeous, but the boxes that housed the shoes were dusty. And I got there intending to do just exactly what it is that the Discam owners of the preview anticipated I would do. I was going there to shop for some shoes. Very, very incredibly well, you guys. Here it is that I'm in the preview in the dark of night, but I can see my way around, and I'm actually trying to pick some shoes, and I'm being gazed upon with gladness by the employees at Discam who own the preview. And then next thing, kaboom! Alright, you guys, like, what in the world, right? This preview then starts to become not just preview, but Woolworths. So a clothing store, and it was not just any section of Woolies, it was the home decor section of Woolies. And in particular, I was near the curtains and the blankets. The blankies, the cushy, warm, like minky, like absolutely like woo on my skin type blankie section, and curtains. So I was near the curtain. You know how Woolies sells that too, but it sells clothes and shoes. It also has a home decor section, and it also has a food section. Well, I was in the section of Woolies that was home decor, and I was in particular near the blankies and the curtains, okay, in home decor of Woolies. And as I'm in this like Woolies section, now I'm in the preview, but the preview then morphed, right, and became basically preview mixed with the home decor section of Woolies. And it was in the home decor section of the Woolworths that I out here in these uneasy streets. Oh, I feel so I don't know what to do anymore. Oh, God have mercy. Anyway, yeah, it was when I was in this like section of the Woolies, ne? That it was preview / Woolies. Okay, that's what's good. But I was now in the Woolies more or less closer to them side. I saw my former boss. My former boss, some black lady that like hired me into MTN, the company I used to work for. Now, this former boss, let me just put it out there, is among the people that decided that they're gonna go and grab their own subordinate and bewitch their future. Like, that's just South Africa for you. It's full of crazy people and craziness, and people you trust and love and respect end up just kind of disappointing the creepy crap out of you. Like, it's just, they will jump you out of your skin, out of, like, for nothing, just because they can. Yeah, this lady surprised the living daylights out of me when she became one of the participants in the mutiny against my life. Yeah, anyway, whatever. So here's this random female. I bump into her at the Woolies in particular, looking for a blanket and some curtains. I think I need to pee. I'm just pressing my bladder to see if that needs to happen. How long have I? Yeah, oh no, she was there, guys, like a bear. And she was in the Woolies section, where it is that there were blankies and gordijnen, curtains. And in the dream, I did not have, I did actually, I was who it is that I am in waking life. And when I saw this boss lady, I expected her to pass me hard knock shade. I did. I need to pee, you guys. I don't know what to do with myself at this point. How many times must a lady visit the bathroom? How many? I don't like this life because the bathroom is so far. It's a travel. It's like in the desert. The bathroom is like Hamas. Anyway, guys, yeah, it's full of violence. Let's just, you know, go use the loo and come back and finish this. Oh, what's up? I'm back and I'm relieved from Hamas. Anyway, right. So, where was I? Anyway, I was inside the Woolies. In this dream, I was in the preview. As from the preview side of the Woolies, I saw it sort of kind of expand and it became preview mixed with Woolies. And then in the Woolies home decor section, where there's like blankies, soft cushy warm winter blankies, and die gordijnen, I saw my former boss. And because I was who it is that I am in waking life in the dream too, I sort of kind of balegisad mahlo to like exactly what I do in waking life when I feel like I'm about to happen upon someone from the past that hurt me. I try to duck and dive before they can see me. Okay? So I don't have to deal with the awkwardness of having a conversation greeting somebody that has cast spells on me. It's like I don't want to talk to them. Okay, but yeah. When you have now glanced upon your enemy, what can you do? Talk to them like you don't know what they did last summer. You're not about to go and break out into a little cat fight in the mall, are you? Anyway, whatever. So yeah, I did exactly what I do in waking life. It's my strategy in waking life if I should bump into any of my enemies. Thank God I haven't really had too many of such encounters. If anything, I don't even think I've had one encounter. Yeah, and I acted like I didn't know what that bugger did last summer. It was a guy at Cresta. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, looking at him, looking all scrawny, and I'm like, yeah, at least life is slapping you upside the head for hitting me with a bat on my face. Yeah, he was queuing at this denim bank, had the brazen audacity to even yell at me from a distance. Karabo, I know what you did last summer, bugger. Anyway, I tend to avoid them. Yeah, but like, if at all I can't avoid, then, you know, we have a conversation acting like, I don't know what you did, but I know what you did. And in my dream, I knew what my ex-boss had done last summer, okay? And she saw me. I tried to balecha, that means run. I tried to hide, you know, kutza, duck, yeah. Try to do that like what I would do in normal life, just hide behind a pot or something. A plate, a big plate at Woolies and just play Pink Panther. Whatever, but I wasn't able to hide because she actually like went out of her way, okay, to, oh God have mercy, my brain, I need walnuts. Anyway, y'all, so she went out of her way to be like, Karabo. Hey, some witches are brave, yes, well, like, guys, come on, stop it. Like, I've actually had two such people who cast spells on me, and when the guy like called me from a distance, Akiwilo Kostena Bank, the chick, it was at the Pick and Pay right here in my hood, and she could not run away her either. The encounter was quite awkward. If anything, 3 people. Yeah, the encounter was quite awkward. I was by the grandpa slide, like a little bit of a dispensary section of Pick and Pay, and she was headed towards, like, you know, where they also sell pet tampons and whatnot. She was in that general area of feminine hygiene / dispensary. And she's like, Karabo, hi, how are you? How's your mom? Hi girl, I know what you did last summer. You stanker thing. Anyway, yeah, the other one, it was at a garage. in 4 ways at the very beginning stages of my sorrow. I saw her try to gutsa. They think I avoid you because I don't want to talk with nobody that's gonna be gaslighting the living daylights out of me with carbon monoxide. Like, silent gas, silent killer. Like, it's okay. Like, that's what witches do. They hang out with their victims and they act like nothing happened. Like, I can't stand them. Anyway, this like random chick at the garage. I go in the garage, I pretend I did not see her, and she was like, hey, garage. She actually ran towards me. I was like, hi. And then she gave me this like tight, squeezy hug like we're friends. No, we stop being friends on the day you bewitched my future. Anyway, I'm not rude, I got manners, so I guess we reciprocate a hug of a poser. Anyway, they want their bread buttered on both sides. That's the thing about them. Like, they just want to have, like, keep on living. Keep on keeping on. After bewitching the entire planet, for real. Kinda nitty. Anyway, whatever. Whatever's buried in the darkness is written in God's word that he will bring it out to the marvelous light. And we are a city on a hill, that there's nothing hidden in shoddy places that won't pop out like a jack-in-the-box. But these randos, nah, they don't believe in a jack-in-the-box. They believe that the jack stays hidden when the jack is generally forward and so likes to be seen. Anyway, so here's this jack-in-the-box rocking up, and the willies, you know, and she's like, "Carabo," talking to me like she's still my boss. Look at that. And guess what she looked like in my dream? Yeah, me. She had like an afro that was healthily growing. She was a yellow bone, and she was still a yellow bone in my dream, but she carried a lot of me energy in her. She used to have relaxed hair that was kind of bob cutty type thing. Never the type of woman to ever inconvenience herself with natural hair. Like, she would never go out like that. She finds that she's the kind of person that would find natural hair too much of a chore, because she had so much else that she had to do in life that she didn't have time to focus on 4C hair. So there's no way that that former boss of mine would ever get an afro. Yeah, well, she had my hair. In the dream, the chick had my hair. Look at that. Now, what is hair, you guys? Hair in the Bible of the Lord. On a woman. Goodness, whoa. Yeah, hair in the scriptures. On the top of a female is glory. It's glory, right? So that chick had my glory. That woman had my glory. In my dream, she had my afro and everything, and was emanating my health and my glory. But she was busy shopping in the section of Woolies that was out here selling blankies. These hard knock, minky, wintry, fluffy, cushy. They like look like they could be an animal type blankies, animal fur or whatever. And gardena, curtains. She was shopping in that section, and then she's like, "Carabo," and then I'm like, oh, I guess she sees me. And then I was like, hi. I didn't expect her to like talk to me, because, you know, backstabbing. But in the dream, I guess she was acting the exact same way that witches act when they see their victims, like nothing happened. And I was like, hi. And as soon as I said hi to her, I had an inherent understanding that she knows I lost everything because of her, because of what she did, her and many other people. She had even though she didn't say it in so many words, she had intrinsic understanding as soon as she spoke to me, that she knew that she had laid me destitute, and so she understood me as poverty stricken because of her, and she understood me as pretty much almost exactly where it is that she left me off at, having never progressed beyond it by the standards of this world. Remember, the employees at the Dischem imagined me a muhumi, a wealthy woman. This lady, however, imagined me a poverty-stricken woman. I was poor in her eyes. I was destituted. I was a loser that she comprehended as such due to what she understood to be her doing and the doing of many other people. Yeah, so one group of people in this dream think I'm rich. And then one person in this dream, another group, it's actually a group, ultimately you will come to hear the rest of this dream, imagine me poverty-stricken. And among those who imagined me poverty-stricken was this boss lady, the former boss lady. She's like, hi, Carabo, and then she talks to me. And how are you? How are you doing? Almost like, you know, expanding a whole bunch of concern for my sorry state, my unfortunate life, and everything of mine that's fallen apart. Yeah, okay. So in the dream, because she was gaslighting me very heavily, I ended up basically believing her. You know, when people gaslight you, they cause you to doubt your own sense of reality. And so you find yourself basically second guessing what you have come to learn is fact. And I was doing exactly that in my dream, where having known initially that she was one of my abusers, I started to slowly change my mind because of how sweet she was towards me. She was kind towards me, and she was expanding sorrow from her core, sorrow along the lines of, it's not right that you should be struggling like this. You were one of the best. You were, oh, am I losing time over here? You were one of the best. You were, frankly, my favorite. You were one of the best. You were my favorite. You should be very far, but you're not. How unfair is this country of ours that is South Africa? It's just so wrong. She was having conversations with me along that line, and she was also thinking such thoughts about me. And so all that gaslighting worked to make me feel like, no, my boss, she never did anything to me. I was basically seeing it all in my fantasy land. This funny little dystopia that I dwell in 24 hours a day, where everyone around me is a witch. That is a lie, and I should be incarcerated in a psychiatric hospital and cured from my imaginations that I was encircled by literally that many witches. Okay. So I started to sort of kind of self-doubt my belief of what God showed me in my dream. And then as soon as I started to self-doubt my belief of what the Lord showed me in a dream, poop, out of like literally nowhere, my mom rocks up in that dream. She pops up, my mother, right? And my mother in this dream is out here looking pretty much my age. Like, she's looking my age. Every time I see my mom in my dream, she's my age, y'all, and I think that is God showing me the woman has never grown past the 80s. She's just maintained her stance of holding on to the past, to her youth, and because she didn't want to let go of her youth, or because of all the mistakes that were made against her and the ones that she made against herself, etc. She's never really graduated past the 80s. Okay. And it was in the 80s when my mom was really good. She was a sweet woman. She was a good girl. What this world would call good girl. She became all sour and embittered. Somewhere in the 90s, 2000s, like when I got like late primary school and early high school, my mom had just morphed into something anomalous, and I blame witchcraft for that. Okay, but there was a time when she was just the best thing ever. She was sweet, and then she changed. Okay. Yeah, and in my dream, she was pretty much whatever under heaven she was in the 80s. In other words, she was the sweet version, the kind version, the version that would have likely raised her daughters better, done a better thing. She was that lady. And she pops up in my dream, literally having my best interests at heart. That is not my mother. Let's just put that out there. My mother does not have my best interests at heart. She does not cater to my needs. She does not care about my sorrow. She is disinterested that I should have a future. Yeah, she's not acting very maternally right now where I'm concerned. But in my dream, she was hyper maternal. You guys, she was out here rocking like injection, estrogen, collagen, like pregnancy, like in one sitting. It's like she was taking folic acid and everything, like all these vitamins you need to make sure a baby grows well. She was on multivitamins for growing a baby well in the stomach. In that dream, she had that level of nurturing care over me, even though I was out of the womb and stuff. So really, it's fine. I'll take my folic acid on my own. She was maternal. Whatever. Cool. So herein lies the maternal lady caring about me and stuff. Something that's just not happening in waking life. Anyway, guys. Whew. It's getting cooler, so let's thank the Lord for the loss of heat. Yeah, and my mother then, and my mom and my boss now are like pretty much the same age. All right, my boss was also my age. Like they all look my age. That boss lady was 10 years older than me, more or less, 10 to 12 years. My mom is like a good 26 years older than me. Yet we all just were these like 26-year-olds. Okay, in the dream, I look 26. So they looked like me in this exact form right now. They could have been younger. Okay, I'm actually 39, but I don't look anything like it. They all looked like me. So we all were sort of kind of like 26-year-old looking type people in my dream. Here is my boss, who now today is hitting 50 more or less, or she's already in her 50s. My mom is in her 60s, and I'm in my late 30s. And here it is that we were chilling out looking all like me, right? But My mom was the young version. My boss was the gaslighting version of herself. And as she had just popped up in this dream, it was more like a nightmare, okay? As she popped up in this dream, she was proud of me and she was doting, right? And my boss then started to talk about me near my mom, my mother of which then wore the kind of constitution that you would wear when you are beside yourself with adoration over your child. And somebody's talking wonderfully about the child, all right? Like a parent at like an awards ceremony, a rewards ceremony for her child, and this kid just keeps on piling on the trophies, and this mother can't stop crying and being so proud because my kid is winning trophies. Anyway, whatever you are, something of that nature. My boss was out here dishing out compliments, and my mom was out here on some, my baby, she's my baby. I was so happy in the dream. Talk about a fantasy for all of 5 seconds, because guess what happened? I woke up eventually and discovered that it was all a dream, you know? Yeah, anyway, dream on, it's okay, whatever. In heaven one day it won't be a dream, Anyway, right. So this boss lady starts talking about me. Remember, initially, I was pretty much suspecting of her for having done what she did to me. She managed to gaslight me into like second guessing myself. And then she popped up. And then my mom popped up in the dream next to me, and at the same time that my mom popped up, this boss started dishing out compliments, and she was talking about me. But as she was dishing these compliments out, by dishing out compliments I mean professionally, right? So in other words, compliments about my work ethic and the quality of my work, what it is that I was basically to her back in the day. She was basically finally sharing the truth of how she truly felt about the quality of my work, or how much she liked me, you know what I mean? And she was busy talking about how I was so good at what I did. I frankly, out of all the subordinates she's had, I was the best one. And guys, you know, these were all compliments that were coming to me that I'd never heard from her. She'd never ever told me this before. I always thought I was just a mediocre thing. I always, when I started working for MTN, I was striving to become a project manager because I had been demoted from the old job that I was at, where I was a project manager, and I accepted a downgrade at MTN just so I could work for MTN, however on a track to go back to being project manager. And I was low-key promised that if I can just prove myself within about a year in the job as a program coordinator, in about 6 months to a year, I could then be quickly promoted to project manager, right? So essentially I was tricked into MTN, into downgrading myself, only for me to be like pulled around Gango and dragged for longer than was absolutely necessary. And I ended up in that dead-end job for 2 years. 2 years. Where it is that they were all literally trying to ignore. That they took a project manager, made her an administrator, and just dragged her around as an administrator for 2 years before I finally got my promotion. And that promotion would never have come if some dude that interviewed out of project management and into the job of a program manager, if he did not get a promotion and then see my star quality and then was like, I want you, I'm gonna interview you, I would have stayed an administrator another year or two. Like, they would have kept me in that job for like 3-4 years when I had downgraded from project management because I wanted to work for MTN, and they had promised me 6 months to a year tops, and in 2 years I was still an administrator. It was so disheartening. They all did that to me until a project manager that got promoted to program manager wanted me to work for his team. If it was not for that man, I would have stayed in the grave. I feel like he was sent by God, even though I wasn't yet saved. And one of the biggest reasons why I was kept in one particular job, even though I was obviously supposed to move over to another level, was because of that woman. She kept me an administrator. She literally delayed my growth. She and her other subordinates. I was blessed by the promotion of a project manager that took me under his wing. I was blessed. This woman then went on right ahead to confess in my dream that I was always her best, always her favorite. I was essentially a star from the moment I came into her life, and only now she was saying this. Lo and behold, as she was busy speaking these things, she was morphing into a patient, and a terminal one at that, in a hospital bed. God, Yo. This saboteur, former boss of mine, as she was busy complimenting me in front of my mother that was like, Dora, right? She went from standing upright at the Woolies buying blankets, right? And ended up in literally a hospital bed. She was in a hospital bed and she was terminal. Like, in my dream, all different kinds of hospital machinery and equipment grew on her body. Like, it grew from out of nowhere. And in her nose came in that breathing machine. She was tied. She was like in a bed, a hospital bed. She was in a hospital bed. And she was terminal with a disease. She had a terminal illness. And any minute now she would pass away. And it was understood in my dream. Remember, I am poor. I don't have anything. I don't have a job. There are people that think I'm wealthy. In another part of this dream, this boss of mine is wealthy in waking life. Do you understand? She's a woman that can afford her way. Had a beautiful house and everything. She was a boss lady when I came in, and she likely is still to this day a boss lady of sorts. Alright? Very heavily successful. Young was this lady. So that's not the kind of person that would struggle to get the medical care that they need when they get sick. They would not only be on medical aid, but they would also have so much savings that should there be some procedure that is required that medical aid does not cover, she would be able to tap into some savings and just pay for it. She would be able to tap into some savings and just pay for it. Okay? But in my dream, listen to what happened, okay? This dream was just odd, weird, and all different kinds of other strange stuff. Yeah. She compliments me and finally makes me feel like, oh, she really did like me. I never felt it. And never mind did I never feel like I was any good to this woman. She made it clear that I was no good in my appraisals. Like, I literally got promoted to project manager from abysmal appraisal scores. Like, my appraisal scores were so abysmal that I ought have been passed up for an interview at all. Never mind the opportunity to even be a project manager. The person who ultimately took me up based on observation of my work ethic. He just was looking at me and was like, I want you. He didn't look at my appraisals. He didn't look at anything. He just looked at me and was like, I'm taking you. That's it. This woman used to rate me down so badly that I thought I was like a baby crawling, essentially. And she would not be the last person to do this to me. My next boss did that to me. Unfortunately, I did not end up working for, the man who liked me, the man who got promoted to program manager. I interviewed by him, but then I ended up being given to another person as a project manager, unfortunately. And that woman would go on right ahead to be the bane of my existence. So that guy was used as just a gap, like the Lord used him as a bridge to move me from one place to another, because I didn't end up working for him. I guess I was supposed to just live a persecuted life that Christ, for his own purposes, would set up for me. Yeah, because I would have had a much easier time if that guy was my boss. If he hired me, he wanted me for himself, but then I was basically poached from him. I was stolen, from him. Anyway, whatever, God's purposes, if I was working for him, I also would not be unemployed today. I would not have lost everything. I would not have found myself working for the boss that I ultimately worked for, that sabotaged the living daylights out of me until I lost my whole career. I guess God wanted to put me in the hands of bad bosses so that I would eventually lose my future for such a time as this. Anyway, fine. So this woman who never ever made me feel like I was anything worthwhile, to a point of even downplaying me in my appraisals, now was finally saying all the things that she was supposed to say back then to me in my appraisals. The things she was supposed to say back then in my appraisals and the scores she was supposed to give me back then, she was now trying to give them to me now. Do you understand? And I sat there shocked on some, emotional, like a beauty queen that has just won a title. Goodness, like, I should have seen it for what it was, but this is a dream. Naivety reigns and rules in dreams sometimes, so that the Lord can show me what people hope and intend. They want their bread buttered on both sides. I was out here tearing up like a beauty queen that's just won a title at this woman's commentary, and my mom was like super duper proud of me in a way that in waking life she wasn't. So it's like in this dream, all of my life's accomplishments and all of my life's desires were being fulfilled, but literally a good minute too late. I was finally getting approval and acceptance by my mom, who sees that the world sees that I'm really valuable and they love me, and she was then proud of me. Here it is that I had a proud mom and I had an honest boss. I had an honest boss that was honest with how good I was. But as she was being honest with me, right in front of this mother of mine that looks my age, so basically the version of my mom that is young, has not yet made mistakes like she's made right now. Like they wish they could turn back the hands of time like R. Kelly, but it does not work that way, okay? This boss then ended up basically meshing into a hospital bed right there in the Woolies. So the Woolies now becomes a hospital. So it starts out being preview and then it meshes into Woolies, that section of Blankies and Jordana, and now here it is that it's a hospital. And as she now is manifesting into hospital mode, terminally ill, passing away, I then change my mind entirely. And I'm like, oh my, thank you, my boss lady, my former boss, for acknowledging how good I am, and thank you for acknowledging the value that I added to you. I appreciate the reward. I appreciate the acknowledgement. You know, I'm thankful. I'm really very grateful. But my goodness, you're sick now. So I started to worry about her and care. I started to care because that's just what happens when people you love and people that you get along with and people that are not doing everything in their power to shatter you to a million pieces. When they get hurt, you get worried. When they get to hospital, you visit them and you cry and you mourn and you pray for them. You beseech the King of the universe on their behalf. Do you understand? Yeah. So basically, if that boss lady of mine had continued to love me, she would have been one of the people that will have bolstered my career from the very get-go, and I would hold her very dear and near in my heart all the way into my old years. And anything at all that would ever happen to her, should I have heard about it in the grapevine, it would have made me get out from wherever I found myself, wherever she's at, and surprise her with a visit in the hospital. Surprise her with, oh my goodness, I heard you were sick and I couldn't deal. And then basically at the hospital bed, talk about how it is that you were one of my favorite bosses and I can't stand to see you like this. What do you need? What can I do for you? That's what me turning my life over to Jesus Christ would have meant for everybody in my life. If at all people had loved me back. You know that song that I rewrote, yeah, Jesse Reyes, yeah, Figures, where I'm like, birth home, you've been cruel, now you will not get me back. Where I cried about South Africa and how it is that they've treated me so badly that they're gonna wish they had loved me back, because that's the thing about a child of the living God. They don't forget anybody, and they also have got a power that you lack. They've got an intercessory power. It's written in God's word that the prayers of the wicked are an abomination to Emmanuel, but the prayers of the righteous are like a fragrance in his nose. Right? Where 2 or 3 of us are gathered, there he is with us. Our prayers are heard in a way that nobody else's are. So if at all you get sick, if you're in a bad bunch, if your children are wayward, if you have got a job interview coming up, there is no better person to pray for you when you're not serious about Jesus than a Christian. They have access to the one true God. They can tap into the sky, pierce through. Prayers are a fragrance, and the Lord might stand in the gap for such a human being as that. Like proper, the Lord might be prepared to rescue someone on behalf of a Christian just because of how heartbroken the Christian would be if at all that person was eradicated from the timeline. Yeah, now that you've held those horses down, let's go on right ahead and finish talking about this scene, this like fantasy, because that's all it is really, okay? Very well, this boss of mine starts to morph into like a sick patient terminal in the hospital. I'm feeling so unwell. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, she's morphing. I'm feeling unwell because of all this demonic abuse. Yeah, South Africa. Whatever, she becomes this thing, but before she gets fully like terminal in this disease that she's in, she has won me over with her lies, with her beguiling. She has won me over with the deception. She has won me over with the gaslighting. She has made me second guess my own reality. And I found myself standing over her hospital bed as she was her terminal, thinking, what is this? She's not one of the people that hurt me. She's not one of the people that hurt me. I was seeing wrong. I thought she had betrayed me, but she's not one of them. There are many, but she's not one of them. In my dream, I stood over her body that was lying in a hospital bed, and I said to myself, she's not one of them. I know I've been betrayed by friends and family and colleagues, etc. But her hands are clean. Her hands are clean. She's not one of the people that have afflicted me with just like an ingenious plot and a scheme to rid South Africa of all true talent so mediocre people can look good. She's not one of them. And so because I changed my mind in my dream about the nefarious nature of this woman's core, I then started to worry about her and her well-being and what's going to happen with her ultimately. Recall I told you guys that thanks to all of this sorrow in my soul, all of this pain that I have endured all of these many years has calloused me. I spoke about how it is that because of the mistreatment of my person by friends, family, colleagues, pretty much everyone that I ever came to know and love. It's like everybody just passed away in quite the devastating car accident or bus accident in one sitting, in an explosion in one sitting, and I had to mourn, grieve all of them all at once. Like, all of them just died. And I was lamenting about how it is that it's hard enough to mourn one person, but when you have to cry over everybody you've ever known, you have to literally mourn your brother, your sister, your cousin, your cat. You have to mourn your best friend. You have to mourn your boss. Like a building exploding where all of your loved ones are in it all in one sitting. How do you even cry? Which memory do you first linger on? Who do you reminisce about first out of all of them? Because literally it's all of your life. That's what happened to me. I was kicked to the curb by everybody I've ever known and loved. And for those reasons, and messed up, I was betrayed. Do you understand? And that caused so much devastation in one sitting. It caused such a violence of cognitive dissonance, and I don't even know how to this day I have survived that level of abandonment by everybody. Okay, and what it has done, because of just how calloused, cold, apathetic, unfeeling, and inappropriately responsive to my pain, everyone that is supposed to love me has been my reaction, my coping mechanism has been to basically not care back. And it's not even a coping mechanism, it's so much pain that I can't possibly feel more pain. It is so much pain that I can't possibly feel more loss. It's like they have amplified my sorrow to a point where it has reached equilibrium pain. And so there is no extra marginal unit of pain that you can add that will make a difference. It's like my pain has reached a plateau or an equilibrium, and no additional pain makes any real difference, because I've reached basically the height of what I can experience in sorrow. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Meaning that I no longer appropriately respond to people dying. I no longer appropriately respond to people's news of a terminal sickness. I no longer appropriately respond to people's sorrow the way that I would have back in the day. My dad was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and I was like, meh. I had an aunt that passed away. I didn't even go to the funeral. I was shown a dream of a cousin of mine that will soon pass away from a car accident if at all the mother doesn't repent. And in the dream, I was like, meh. In the dream. And when I woke up, I was still like, meh. I am supposed to be shattered by news of cancer, by news of a car accident, and a person being in a coma, and potentially them not being able to get out. And so death is impending. I should be more afflicted by such occurrences, but I'm not. There were one of my former bosses that I was very tight with. We were always joking, laughing, gaufela, me, him, and this one other colleague. I had he passed away about a couple of months ago from a stroke that he had in a bathtub, or a heart attack or something, and then he passed away. And when my mom came and told me, because it was from a connection that I gained through my mom that I ended up meeting that boss, so she also knew him. When my mom told me, I was like, I guess people die. I was unmoved, and the reason that was the case was because he was one of my afflictors. It just based on seeing my life from Facebook, he decided that he's gonna cast spells on me so I don't go anywhere. He envied me from a distance and decided that he's gonna thwart my future. So that's been how it is that I've reacted to some pretty devastating prophecies about some of the most beloved people, at least historically beloved people in my life. I am not so much unemotional, but like I said, I've reached equilibrium pain, such that new inputs, new painful stimuli, like the discovery of a terminal illness of a past loved one, it's just more sorrow in this body that's just already inebriated, weathered. I don't appropriately respond anymore to painful stimuli. I've been calloused. It's like I do calisthenics and I have calluses on my palms that make it easier for me to lift my own body weight on like a bar. I've been calloused. Yeah. And not in a positive, neither negative way, but just by mere virtue of having so much pain that it frankly cannot get worse. That's how bad my situation is. So I could have a whole 10 people from my life pass away and me still be like, meh. That's what people have done. I'm too focused on my own pain and my own sorrow and my own abandonment, my own isolation, my own solitude, my own solitary confinement, to focus on individuals that prided themselves, spreading themselves thin in these streets and decimating people's lives, and now look at you get a diagnosis of cancer. It's like I don't have time to feel bad about your pain because I don't have capacity for it anymore. It's just another one of my enemies that capitulated to this body of death. They are now basically perishing because who doesn't? And this boss of mine did not want me to view her in that light, in her moment of need. Remember the dream that I had 2 or 3 days ago that I told you guys about, where it is that I saw a whole bunch of my enemies in hell. They were burning and they were all ever so incredibly, like, what is the word, preoccupied with the fact that now that they're dead, I don't care. I'm indifferent. Well, one of the biggest reasons why they are tormented by that thought is because they were supposed to be among my nearest and dearest people, such that their deaths would have created quite the gargantuan canyon in my heart. And yet all it did was give me a slight prick that I very quickly moved on from. The kind of injury that only needs a band-aid and not even antibiotics. Yeah, but like it was supposed to shatter you to near death when they got hurt or died. These people that were that close to me, one of them was my former boss, who in my dream was trying to change my mind before she would be met with the end of her life. She did not want me to not hold her in my memories with any level of grandiose adoration. She did not want me to see her as just another one of my futile enemies. And so she concocted a strategy to lie to me, gaslighting me, and making me believe that I am a travesty. The thing that I am is wrong. Do you understand? That I should not have been done this to, and if at all it was up to her, I would, not have lost anything. I would have maintained everything, that she would have had my back. Except herein lies the deal. She was one of the people, thanks to her witchcraft that she had done. I had put her on my CV as a reference. And one recruitment agency called her, and her response, her reference to her, this recruitment agent, was wicked. She lied. She spoke about me as worthless. You know, God keeps on saying, in light of my curriculum vitae that I sent out, let me just move on to the